We have a new class, so it's time for a new class guide for new players. An updated one. Roll it. Welcome back, everyone, and to those of you who are new here or new to Neverwinter in general, then grab a seat and let's go on an adventure.
I'm going on an adventure!
Hopefully, I can help you decide what class you want to play. What class better suits you as a person and your playstyle? Or at the very least, educate you so you can make your own informed decision. Nobody likes to be told what to play. I know I didn't. So here you are. You somehow found your way to my video either by chance, by some dumb algorithm mistake, or you literally searched for this type of guide. Either way, you're here now. What class should you play in Neverwinter? Chances are you already have some idea of what class archetype you'd like to play in games. Like a healer, a spellcaster, a damage dealer with a huge sword. You get the idea. Neverwinter itself has many classes who have dual roles. In Neverwinter, they are called Paragon paths. So you can have one archetype and then have an extra way of playing said class. How it works is once you hit level 11 with your chosen class, you get to choose a Paragon path. You have one of two choices. As you see here on your screen, most of the time for most classes, you get two totally opposite to each other Paragon paths. For example, one path can be a damage dealing path and the other can be a healing path or a tank path. Point is, your choice has layers to it that you are definitely not aware of as a new player. But that is where I come in, and that is what I'm here for. Most players, if not everybody, wants to play the best class in the game. It is in our nature, in your nature, to be the best you can be. So usually people will follow those types of trends. That's why in most MMOs you'll see a huge portion of the gaming population gravitating to the, in quotations, best class, but for all the wrong reasons. Of course, for some, it's the right reasons because they will end up loving that class, but to this I say, don't be a sheep. The point of playing MMOs for most people is the sense of progression. It's the social aspect, like making friends, sharing achievements, and so on. People should choose a class based on their character and personality. The class you end up choosing will represent who you are, your drives, your qualities, and who you are as a person in general. Neverwinter has had 8 classes for a very long time, with one being promised since Moses split the sea in half. Holy shit, cell phones looked like bricks back then. But now, we have 9 classes. They are the Barbarian, the Cleric, the Fighter, the Paladin, the Ranger, the Rogue, the Warlock, the Wizard, and the newest addition, the Bard. All these classes are part of the Holy Trinity: healers, tanks, and damage dealers, which is very common in the D&D world. But because all classes have 2 Paragon paths, most of them can fall into 2 of the 3 Holy Trinity positions. So let me break that down for you and show you what each class Paragon path is and what each class can offer you, just to help you make your choice. Let's start with my favorite class, the Rogue. The Rogue is a master of stealth who strikes from the shadows with deadly precision. Rogues are athletic and nimble fighters who outmaneuver their foes before cutting them down to size. Rogue's weapon of choice is, as per usual, dual daggers. Upon reaching level 11, rogues may specialize in dealing damage. That's the only Paragon pass they have. The rogue has 2 Paragon paths like I mentioned earlier. They are slightly different from each other, but the focus here is what role they play in general. And in this case, rogues are just a one-trick pony. And that's just damage, and more damage, whether it's single target or AoE based. Sure, they have a few debuffing powers to help parties, but not enough to define them as buffers or debuffers. Rogues in the current meta are probably, if not the best, in the top 2 best classes when it comes to mob clearing. The AoE damage is second to none, and they are essential to most groups. You can't go wrong with a rogue. They are also in the top 3 damage dealing classes in the game, if not number 1. Downside to picking a rogue is that they are squishy and you need to be close to deal damage. Sometimes that could be a problem, but in time, when you master the rogue, you will have tons of fun. Next, we have the Ranger. The Ranger is a worldwide wanderer, versed in archery and melee combat. Rangers unleash a hail of arrows on foes from afar, before closing the gap and finishing them off with some close range attacks. Rangers use a bow from a distance and daggers when they switch to melee stances. Upon reaching level 11, Rangers may specialize in dealing damage. Rangers are similar to rogues in one main aspect. They both have 2 Paragon paths that are damage dealing. Sure, there are some debuffs and buffs, but that isn't the main focus of the class in general. The Ranger is insanely useful to all parties. The mob clearing is really good, and their single target damage is probably the best in the game currently, especially in the right hands. One downside could be the fact that they are the hardest class to play since they switch between stances to get the most of their damage. Some players find it tedious and too much work, while others love the fact that it requires some skill to be good at the Ranger class in general. Definitely can't go wrong with a Ranger in your group or parties. Next, we have the Fighter. The Fighter is a warrior who places themselves in harm's way to protect their allies. Sword in hand and shield held steady, the Fighter shrugs off devastating attacks and retaliates with vengeance. Upon reaching level 11, fighters may specialize in either tanking or dealing damage. The Fighter is a super fun class to play. It can deal huge amounts of damage with its damage dealing Paragon path, especially good in single target damage, but not as good when it comes to AoE damage. That is where they lack a bit. But as you see here in this clip by my longtime good friend Minimi, they are so much fun. And they are also amazing tanks who can handle a shit ton of damage and keep aggro pretty consistently. Tanks in general are must-haves in any groups. They are very necessary, and sadly there are not many of them around to satisfy all group needs. So maybe consider a Fighter. The name sounds cool, the damage is fantastic, and they can tank. Sounds like an orgasm to me, right? Minimi? That kind of rhymed. Next on the list, we have the Paladin. The Paladin is a righteous defender of the innocent, a holy knight devoted to the pursuit of justice. The Paladin draws upon their faith, wielding divine radiant power to deal damage, and healing magic to heal self and allies. Upon reaching level 11, Paladins may specialize in either tanking or healing. Paladins are incredible tanks and protectors. The Paladin in general is a better shielder than a healer, at least in the current meta. But that doesn't mean they don't do extremely well in both paths. Remember, you are a beginner, and as such you will evolve with your class. A Paladin is always needed as it utilizes the two most important jobs in Neverwinter, which is healing and tanking. You will be swatting people away like flies from all the group invites. Trust me. Next, we have the Barbarian. The Barbarian is an unstoppable warrior skilled with heavy weapons. Some Barbarians hail from savage lands, but all embrace their inner beast to become raging hurricanes on the battlefield. Upon reaching level 11, Barbarians may specialize in either damage dealing or tanking. The Barbarian itself is another fun class to play. They use the biggest swords in the game and deal damage with them. They can also tank extremely well, a very durable class in general. Personally, I still prefer their old name, which was the Great Weapon Fighter, but the name change doesn't take away from the class's ability to compete and help parties. In my humble opinion, I do think the class needs a bit more damage in both AoE and in single target, but don't let that deter you. Neverwinter patches all the time and changes happen often. You can't go wrong with a Barbarian. Next, we have the Cleric. The Cleric draws upon the divinity of their gods or goddesses to heal wounds and smite foes. The Cleric ensures their companions make it through even the most harrowing encounters alive. Upon reaching level 11, Clerics may specialize in either healing or damage dealing. Now this class is a staple to almost all MMOs. They are the best healing class in the game currently and can deal really good single target damage if they use the damage Paragon path. They lack in AoE, but they are normally not used for damage unless they are running trials. Playing this incredible class will ultimately always see you wanted for content. Clerics are a must-have in most groups, if not all of them, and they are extremely fun to play. So, being a healer is cool. Don't you want to be cool, bro? Broette? Just go for it then. Next, we have the Warlock. The Warlock is a spellcaster who draws power from a pact forged with an eldritch being. Warlocks weave curses and destructive magics and can even drain the life force of their foes. Upon reaching level 11, Warlocks may specialize in either dealing damage or healing. Warlocks used to be overlooked and nerfed into the ground for a very long period of time, and I am so glad they're in a much better spot today. There was a time where you couldn't even see a Warlock in any zone, let alone play with one in a party. But lately, they have been extremely useful and in the right hands, powerful even. They are well equipped for dealing damage and very good at healing as well. Personally, I prefer them as damage dealers, but they are above average healers for sure. They also have that shadow slip, which I find extremely cool. So if you like cursing stuff, damage dealing from a distance, and possibly healing, then the Warlock would be super fun for you. Next, we have the Wizard. The Wizard is a spellcaster whose power is rooted in the study of the arcane. To a wizard, knowledge provides the means to summon forth weapons of ice in rolling thunderstorms, or to simply disintegrate enemies with pure arcane power. Upon reaching level 11, wizards may specialize in damage dealing. The Wizard is another extremely fun class to play. They control mobs, they freeze the ground, slowing movement, and deal single target damage. Sadly though, I think the class is underperforming at the moment in endgame content. In the right hands, they do amazingly well, and regardless of how much damage they deal or don't deal, Their usefulness in controlling and killing groups of mobs is incredibly wanted. I personally think they need some buffs, but that's just me. They are one of my favorite classes to play. You will definitely have fun and enjoy the class without a doubt. And last, we have the new class to Neverwinter, the Bard. The Bard is a versatile adventurer. The Bard commands the power of song to be a powerful healer or a stylish combatant. Regardless of their path, it is a Bard's ability to perform that determines how far they can go. Upon reaching level 11, Bards may specialize in either healing or damage dealing. The Bard, like I said, is the newest addition to Neverwinter, the 9th class of the game, and as such they are subject to many changes. They will be nerfed or buffed and changed as time goes by. That is inevitable. They are not the best damage dealers currently, but they're not the best healers either. But they are a jack of all trades and can perform in both paths well enough to be useful. The fun part about being a Bard is their ability to play music, play songs. You have a freeform performance mode, where you can play any song you like as long as you know the keys. Or you can use ready-made songs that the Bard already has, and quick slot them during battle for various effects like buffing, debuffing, or healing. But come on, new or not, they play music. Role-playing is a thing in MMOs too, you know. The Bard is new and fun and definitely worth a shot, especially if you're a D&D freak. So, those are all 9 classes. Which one fits your playstyle? The classes that have damage-dealing Paragon paths are the Rogue, the Ranger, the Warlock, the Fighter, the Barbarian, the Wizard, the Bard, and the Cleric. The classes that have healing Paragon paths are the Cleric, the Warlock, the Paladin, and the Bard. And the classes that have tanking Paragon paths are the Fighter, the Barbarian, and the Paladin. So if you like protecting, then a tank or a healer would be better suited for your needs. If you like damage dealing, then all you need to do is decide what playstyle suits you the most. A long-ass sword, cursing stuff from a distance, or possibly using tiny little daggers, or maybe even a bow. Or do you prefer healing and keeping your group healthy and alive? The choice is yours. Just keep in mind, no matter what you choose, there will be backlash, and people ultimately trying to put you down occasionally. Like you didn't tank well enough, or why didn't you heal at a specific point in the dungeon, or your damage is subpar. Ignore those people. They have a sort of sick desperation in their lives. Play the game for you. Choose the class that fits who you are. And remember, you can always play another class if your initial choice doesn't pan out and feel right for you. Leveling now in 2021 on Neverwinter is extremely easy, so it won't take you too long to pick a class that defines you. And once you reach a certain point in the game, you should feel so comfortable with your class that the rotation becomes muscle memory, thus making you enjoy both the game and your class a little bit more. Try not let anyone tell you what to play. Play them all one by one and decide for yourself. It's all about fun, right? Especially in this crazy world full of this virus. Anyways, I hope this helped you decide what class you should play, because the choice is yours, not mine. So go out there and kick some butt, new player. Neverwinter is waiting. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.